category.
Okay. Want to just keep that open.
Good morning, everybody. This is Jason Bitbender Brink, and I'm here with a Townstar developer update. I've got Adam Jennings and Christian. I can't remember your last name. I'm so sorry, Christian. Uh,
Magda.
there you go. Oh, yeah, Magda. There you go. It says it right up beneath you in Zoom. That's awesome. So, sorry about that. We're going to go ahead and I'm here just to kind of give you guys a walkthrough through this for the first time. In the future, there's going to be a lot more frequent updates from both Townstar and other development teams that I will not probably be, streaming, but they will be streaming on all of the same different channels. So that's going to be a good thing. You guys are going to get lots more updates, lots more information. It's just not going to be my loud ass talking to you guys. So anyway, we'll dive right in. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great. Doing great. Thanks for the introduction.
Hey, it's what I'm here for, guys. So tell me what's going on in the world of Townstar.
A lot of interesting things. I'll let Adam start us off since I'm a new hire, so I've only been with Gala Games for a month, and it's totally awesome.
Sure.
Awesome.
Yeah. I can take that answer. There's a lot of things going on in the world of Townstar. We have since the Mayhem event ended, we learned a ton, and we're able to kind of reset everything that we're working on, and kind of we found a lot of new issues that we didn't even realize that were as prevalent or even there in some cases that needed a lot of our attention. So we've
Can you
kind of
can you give a
split up.
couple of examples of that? Like what
Absolutely.
kind of like random issues are we talking about? Random issues are my favorite.
Random issues, a lot of them were, just small little bugs that I think either nobody had spotted before, or just nobody had surfaced, or maybe they'd been around for a while, but just this many people coming into the game were able to shed light. One of my favorite ones, it's hardly significant in the gameplay world at all, but the hover butter was one that popped up, where any unit that was carrying butter, it would be floating 10 feet up above their head, and they'd have their arms out like this while they're just hovering the butter up above them. And so the list of little things like that grew and grew and grew throughout Mayhem. And at the same time, that's something, it doesn't really affect the game. Like, yes, it does. You see it, it affects how the game looks, but it doesn't affect how the game plays. But on the other end, there were some some big issues. Week one, I mean, the whole game just exploded, and we had to scramble to patch that back together and prevent that from being able to happen in the future. But one of the big things that I'm sure that people have seen, it took a while to get through all these results and make sure that everyone that was getting rewards was legitimate, and that they had actually earned those rewards and were playing fairly. um, we saw some really creative attempts to play unfairly, and that has driven a lot of what of our priorities have been, especially on the back end of Townstar, on the server side. uh,
Right.
what are people trying to do? How are they trying to do it? How can we prevent it? And also, how can we get some better steps at identifying if they are trying to do it? Going into the actual super specific details of what everyone's trying to do is not always the best idea for your security system. When you're designing a lock, you don't want to tell people, well, here's the intricacies of how all of it works. But um, we got a pretty long list of people attempting to creatively play unfairly, and have come up with a good solution for pretty much everything that we've seen. And that's what Christian's been pretty busy working on.
Right. Yeah. I've been tossed into the deep end of all of that, and it's been like challenging, but super fun. And yeah, there's a lot of little things that we can do to really put a stop to many of the exploits people are using, and hopefully we'll get it up to snuff pretty soon.
Now, to me, stopping these sorts of exploits are it's a super important topic because there are people who out there who are actually playing Townstar competitively, as a means to bring in, a significant amount of supplemental income that they're able to use then with their life. And to play unfairly in that situation is, uh, in some cases to take money directly out of the hands of those that need it the most. And that's one of the reasons that we always work so hard to make sure that there's integrity in the game. And we appreciate the entire community letting us know when things look amiss or when something seems to be off or wrong or it doesn't quite match up. The community is always like the first line of defense. Adam, how many DMs would you say you get when somebody all of a sudden spikes in points on the board and shouldn't be there? Suddenly they've got like 28 million stars and they're at the top.
Enough to not be able to ignore it. It's
Exactly, right?
definitely, yeah, there's a loud voice when things are looking amiss.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Excellent. Well, what else? What other news would you guys like to share?
I think to cover the other side of Townstar, it's not all just focused on how do we deal with people that are trying to jeopardize the integrity of the game. We've also been chipping away on the front end, on the client side, of just getting a lot of those little bugs and quality of life fixes. There was some instances. I mean, there was a big one where for a lot of people the game just wouldn't load. It would get stuck at 60% and just hang there. And this was a few weeks ago that we were able to address this. But places like that where the game was just broken and the solution was just keep refreshing and you should get through. We weren't super happy with that being the answer and made sure and fixed that. Working on performance as well, kind of trying to find some things that can help improve the experience of what we have right now while we work on those back end systems to help keep the integrity of the game nice and solid. The other front is that we're looking at adding some new content to the game. It's been a little while since we've added anything, and we've got this huge long list of new buildings, new units, new crafts that we want to get into the game and get some fresh life and some new builds, new possibilities of things that people can do with their towns. So we are starting the work on getting some new, not just NFTs, but also some new NFTs, but just new content in general into the game.
Right.
Christian, did you want to talk a little bit about what we've got lined up?
New mechanics, and I think it's like great. Elliot, who's like the game director, he's really awesome at bringing things into focus and kind of like pushing the envelope forward. And so I feel like Townstar is now picking up speed and it's going to be really great going forward. Yeah, like I'm super excited about the new units that we are going to put into game. Hopefully sooner than later. We're trying to push it as fast as possible. But basically, it adds a little bit of a new mechanic. Well, it's sort of existing mechanic, but passive energy for some buildings through solar panels. And then
Nice.
we have my favorite is like the corresponding NFT that will go along with that, and that will be a Tesla coil. So I
A
don't
Tesla
know.
coil. I
Yeah,
love it.
So kind of taking that idea that ponds and fountains have a passive energy. There's the in-game version. There's the NFT kind of accompaniment pieces. Moving that same concept over to energy. People have done some
Fascinating.
really cool stuff with their fountains and pond builds to kind of automate their town. It'll be interesting to see what they do when that's expanded to energy as well.
I want a Tesla coil. Nikola Tesla is one of my absolute biggest heroes. Um, yeah, right. Pretty
That
cool,
was
dude.
right before we hopped on this call. Christian and I were actually discussing some of the cool inventions that Tesla had.
What is your favorite Tesla invention?
I think for me, it's the Tesla valve.
yeah.
It's
And
a
Tesla valve. Tell me about
it's
this.
a
I don't
it's
know
a
about this.
one-way valve with no moving parts, so it'll reduce the flow. It does not take a 100% reduction in flow, but it does dramatically reduce it. And it's built up of these kind of like teardrop shaped chambers that force the flow to kind of reverse and fight against itself. And
Fascinating.
Yeah,
completely reliable. There's no springs, there's no little moving switches or doodads to break down over time. It'll work for as long as
yeah,
the structure's in place.
and there are like some super interesting like things about it. People are just now like starting to figure out like if you fill it with gas and you light it up, like it actually speeds up the gas as it's going through, and it's pretty awesome little invention. You can print it if you have a 3D printer and test that. Won't work perfectly, but it's really cool.
Oh, there you go. I am sure there is somebody with a 3D printer in the Gala community who will print a Tesla valve. That's I didn't know he had anything to do with fluids.
If it was an engineering challenge, then Tesla had a creative solution for it.
That is fascinating. Thank you. Totally off topic, completely totally off topic, but fantastic.
It's fun though.
So just as we continue, I would like any of you who are watching this, if you've never joined our Discord before, drop into our Discord at GalaGames.chat. As we get towards the end of this, we're going to be taking some questions from the community, and we will be pulling those from the Townstar board of our Discord. So join our Discord at GalaGames.chat and ask any questions that you may have about Townstar, the development of Townstar, the future of Townstar, Gala Games, anything like that. So anyway, back to you guys.
I'll let you. Did you want to take a turn driving there for a second, Christian, or I don't want to just.
Well,
Sure. I mean,
oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was just gonna say, tell me about one of the things that we've discussed, and you talked about the faceplant of Townstar during week 1, and we made a promise to the community about what we were going to be giving them. We were going to be giving them some sort of NFT that was representative of the fact that they were there and they were playing when this happened.
Yes.
Do you want to tell them about this? Because I've mentioned that it's a thing, but do you guys want to give some details and maybe a timeline if you have one? If you don't have one, that's fine.
Let me see if anybody's sending messages saying don't spill beans, don't give it away. I don't think so though. I don't think it's super top secret.
Oh, I've talked about it in gold a little bit, so I think
okay. Yeah, what we're going to be giving away is there's going to be an NFT that functions sort of similar to like the elf bot, to the salty bot, but this guy is going to be the water bot, and he's going to focus entirely on delivering water places that it needs. Although people do cover a lot of their water needs with ponds and fountains, there's definitely still times where you just can't make it work. You need a unit to deliver things, deliver the water to things that need it, and this guy is going to be specifically for that purpose. There are going to be 2 versions of the water bot at a point in time. The version for people that experienced the Mayhem faceplant is going to be the buggy water bot. He's kind of I think Warren even mentioned a little bit about this in the last AMA, if I remember right. But he's kind of inspired by the crazy car salesman robot from Futurama that's kind of just twitching out a little and just going nuts. Yeah, he's crazy. He's got kind of little broken pieces, and he's got a little cloud of smoke that follows him around in the game. I don't want to promise a time, because anytime you promise a time, then
immediately that bites you in the ass a bit. But
yeah, but I can say that yesterday I got to see him in game. He was moving around the board, mostly functional. There's still a little bit of work to get him all the way to life, and I would be surprised if he took too much longer to get out into the wild. He's pretty close to being ready.
Okay, that sounds fantastic. Now, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Do you have any other things to share? Otherwise, I'll start pulling questions from people.
Right. Well, I was gonna say that I think for next week, and Adam, you can correct me, but we're planning to shuffle the board a little bit in regards to like points and crafts and all that good stuff.
Ooh.
So we're gonna be nerfing some things that are a little bit OP right now and buffing some other things. So it's gonna be fun.
Every once in a while I get quite well thought out messages that are sent to me that are like, "Hey, you should do this thing, change the points in this way to make it more reflective of reality. It's a simulation, and I'm in this industry, and this is not an accurate simulation of this industry. So change the points for this particular type of wine, things like that." It's
Yeah, and that's something we do plan on getting a little bit more regular in those tuning changes. A lot a lot of things have stayed as they are in order for us to kind of have something solid in our hand while we tweak other pieces. Sorry, if every single part is moving, it's kind of hard to keep track of what was a specific change's impact. Um, but things are settling down a bit now, and it seems like a good time for us to be able to add a little bit of variety and spice into the tuning of the game and the value of points and
make it
everything like that. So
spicy.
make it spicy, keep it interesting. It's there's only so many times you can play the game with the exact same point values and have it still be a challenge and have it
I
still be
think,
interesting.
yeah, I think it's interesting. When you talk about making tuning changes and things like that, especially with a game like this, there are people who have like absolutely got the game locked in, and I think it's a lot more fun and a lot more fair if every week you're just whacking the points board to make it so that everyone has to completely redo their tuning of their town and learn how to adapt. I think that's a really cool thing.
Yeah, make it a puzzle to be solved and not just a race to whatever has been decided is the most efficient. So
Right.
shake up the meta a little bit.
Yep.
Awesome.
Should we switch over to questions? This isn't going to be a record breaking stream for time.
Sure.
So it might be good to, unless Christian, you had anything else that we
I
wanted to mention?
think we're good. There are like a lot of exciting things, but we're gonna have to wait a little bit longer before we speak about them. So I think we're planning to do this at least once every 2 weeks or so. So there'll be plenty of opportunities to share more.
Awesome.
Keep a
Then-
little bit of beans to spill.
Yes.
Then let's go ahead and we'll dive straight into getting some of these questions that people have. Let's see. More often AMAs are good. Nephilim Haas agrees with this.
I think so too.
Are you considering, and this is from, I want to say either Galalucci or Gayelucci, I'm not sure how that goes. Are you considering new play modes in the future? Maybe a solo town start competition?
I see even message without Silica Rush. So
Yes.
it sounds
Sorry,
like
I paraphrase a little bit.
oh yeah, no, that's okay. But I think that's an important part of the question too. Different game modes where the values are different per server. That is something that we do have planned for the future. So solo town competition to me would mean just neighbor deliveries are disabled. No jimmies available. Without Silica Rush to me would mean that the tuning is able to be changed depending on the server, and that is in our list. There's a lot of kind of core work that we need to do to break different dependencies apart and be able to allow those custom rule sets per server. But we are chipping away at those even as we're working. We're focused on other initiatives, but those are kind of being snuck in so that we can have groundwork laid for big features like that in the future.
Are there plans for air-based transfer of products at some point in time in the future?
Yes.
Yes, there you go.
Yes.
You heard it here first, Nephilim Haas.
Can't promise a date.
Of course.
I hardly ever will unless I have it in my hand and I'm ready to hand it to somebody. I won't promise a date, but yes, that we do have plans and we do have a little bit of data in the game to support that.
Yeah.
Jet fuel.
Yes, I mean
Yeah,
you
jet
guys
fuel
make
is part
jet
of that.
fuel.
Yep,
Jet fuel presupposes the existence of jets for said fuel.
that's right.
How about different maps instead of just Earth, Mars maybe?
That would tie together into that first question about the different play modes, different rules. I think different maps would probably be a part of that. So that is something that we've talked about, and as we're moving towards that, custom rules per server, custom maps would most likely be a part of that. Um, Elliot has spoken about how much he enjoys custom and very customizable servers that can be set to change the entire rules of the game. And I think the more knobs that we put in to adjust on what each server looks like and how it behaves, then the better it's going to be, and the more interesting the game could be.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I remember playing some of the games that Elliot was involved in the past, Unreal Tournament and things like that. Massive customization that you could have over your competition servers. I died so many times.
Yeah, yeah, that's a common theme of those games.
Right, right. How about map dead zones? That's a thing that exists in there, and I know that there have been times where, like, I'm trying to demo the game, and I'm not a Townstar player. Okay, so I just I hear the music and the clouds part, and there's a map, and there's a bazillion people on it. I'm like, well, I got to show somebody. I'll try to put it here, and it doesn't work because that's one of the little dead spots.
Those tucked away in the mountains, or
Yeah.
somewhere where you just can't get to a city. Um, I would imagine that with air travel, just like if you place your town out in the ocean and there's an edge that is accessible to a city by water, you start with a boat instead of a truck. I would imagine that with air travel, we could solve that dead zone problem, and just maybe having a smaller
Little
plane that,
airstrip.
yeah, a little airstrip, and there could be a larger version that is more of the cargo jet solution that you would aspire to get later. But um, yes, that air travel could absolutely solve that problem.
Nice.
That'd be great. Give us a little bit more usable spaces on the map. Would be good for everybody.
I think that would be fantastic. One of the questions that this is coming from Ben C, and I'm kind of expanding on Ben's question here a little bit. He asks if auto selling will eventually be built into the game, and we do have all of these parts out there for a trade bot that people have. I believe I have a hat. I think I got a hat. It's a pretty cool trucker hat. What is the is that a thing that's going to happen eventually?
It is. Yeah, and that is the trade bot's purpose. The trade bot was designed to be a auto sell, a configurable trade vehicle that you can set up much like the auto sell scripts do, but actually supported by the game, and a little more customizable, a little more easy to set to behave how you want it to.
Nice.
Um, he's not ready to go in just yet, but he is being worked on, and I would love to see an officially supported auto sell kind of structure.
Sure.
Some of the strange behaviors that we've seen, weird bugs that get reported, I can identify that they are running the auto sell script, and I can't help but feel, or maybe not but one of them, the more prevalent ones, I can't help but feel that some of the strange behaviors are linked to the fact that there is this external script
Right,
being run
right,
on
right.
top.
Um. Oh, there's a baby in my office now,
Oh,
but she's asleep and adorable. Anyway.
well, I'm glad that she's able to be a part of the AMA at least.
She is. She is. She's amazing. Anyway, um, okay. One of the other questions that we have from the community here is, how do we put this? Somebody, there's two questions that one of them I would love to get your guys feeling on, and the other is one that I will answer. And the one that I will answer is, do you guys ever plan on doing Mayhem scale events in the future? I think that that's definitely a thing that will happen at some point in time in the future. Not yet, but at some point in time in the future. I think that, you know, the community loves it. It's, you know, something that everybody enjoys, and I think that as we get some of this tuning locked in and get things to be a little bit more robust, that would be a lot of fun. The other question, and I would like to see if I can get you guys to this is probably maybe Christian mostly. How do we take care of people who are multi-accounting? Now, obviously, this is not something that you're supposed to do. Can you speak to the difficulties that are experienced when you attempt to identify something like this?
Right. It it is pretty difficult because you can make, you know, different accounts, and it's kind of hard to tie together like what players are doing. Even if you track them by like the IP or whatever, there's
Right.
different ways to get around that. So
So then you have somebody who has different IP addresses, different emails, different names, different computers.
right, and on the other side,
How do you determine whether they're a multi-account?
right, it's a
You
tough one, especially like there's a added difficulty where people might actually be two different people, like maybe living in the same household, you know,
That
wanting to
happens a lot, right?
tag team it. And so it's a very hard problem to solve. Um, we, we, we're still kind of trying to figure out what would be the best way to tackle that.
Hmm.
And um, yeah, I'm I'm still like wrapping my head around a lot of things. So
Well, I mean,
uh,
for me, it's interesting because it's so easy for people to say like, well, when are you going to fix this thing? It's totally obvious thing. It's totally multi-accounting. Obviously, it's multi-accounting. They're blocking a space and they're sending each other gas, and it's multi-accounting. Destroy them. It's very easy to say that, but then at a technical level, how do you determine who these people are? And sometimes, you know, I ask this because I know it's not easy. It's not something that you can just look at and say, oh, well, this person's clearly multi-accounting in most situations. You know, so just wanted to kind of walk through the difficulties associated with that because, you know, especially when it comes to like blocking and things like that. You know, how do you know when somebody's blocking or when they're a new player who put down a town and decided not to continue? And I believe one of the things that you guys have instituted is now you will delete blocking accounts that aren't, you know, if you haven't earned any stars after a
That's right.
certain
Yeah,
period.
there's a threshold now where if after a certain period of time, and it's pretty generous, but if after a certain amount of time you haven't passed that point threshold, then the server will clear that spot and make room for somebody that
Nice.
is going to be a little more active.
Beautiful.
And that's so, you know, there are things that we can do. We're never going to get to a point where anyone who places a blocking town is just instantly removed because
There's no
how
way you can tell if
there's
that's
no
what
way.
it
Yeah,
is.
you can't tell somebody's intentions right off the bat, but we can kind of identify patterns, and we've been learning a lot about what does it mean if a player is doing this specific thing. And there's some clear patterns, or points that we can use to help and address those issues. And um, you know, if we can get 99% of the way, that would be incredible. But 100% of every blocking town, or you know, being able to tell that every single person that has two computers in the same household isn't two separate people, uh, it's probably never going to be 100% identified. But
Right, right.
we can pick up and use the information that we do have and make the best informed decisions that we can. But I agree, it is one of those things that sounds so simple until you really look at the problem. And the big problem is, how do we separate people that are one person at multiple computers and two people at two computers, or three people at three computers?
maybe like some sort of advanced KYC might be able to
Yeah,
help.
but KY, like, see, that's the thing, guys. I mean, when you talk about removing making it so that only 1 bazillion% legitimate players can place a town, you're suddenly talking about putting a KYC barrier between
Right,
the
right.
player and the game. And I mean, it's a farming simulation game. Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that.
Absolutely nobody wants that. It's a pain in the ass. It slows everything down. It's not fun. You don't want to send in a copy of your passport to play a game. Nobody wants that. So, that's why that's not going to happen. um,
And I see in Discord too, people are putting in suggestions. Even Doc is chiming in that
mm,
the a good approach to this is not necessarily trying to solve an unsolvable problem, but taking away that advantage that people get.
right.
Um, making it so that if somebody is multi-towning, is it unfair? It doesn't have to be. Modifying Jimmy, yeah, making multi-town builds less essential. I agree with all of that. It's a difficult challenge to balance all of that. Um,
Right.
but those are directions that we're moving in. So hopefully some of the new tuning changes uh, will help to kind of level out that playing field.
That sounds good. Do you guys want to take a couple more questions before we wrap it up for today?
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. There's some. The chat has kind of scrolled beyond me as I took
Well,
my eyes off of it.
Jimmy211, who will not be removed because, he's not the Jimmy, he is just a Jimmy, would like to know about more good places on the map. Maybe the addition of additional rivers or
Yeah.
something like that.
I've been chirping at this like since I got here because I played Townstar before and I was like, why is there so little rivers? But yeah, I think that would be nice. Maybe make Antarctica also habitable.
Yeah, and I think
Snowland.
Snowland would be cool. I think also just making the places that are not that river mountain combo, making those
More viable.
making more viable builds and possibilities for spots that are not just those super sought after and limited spaces. So that I think we can address through adjusting the points and adjusting um, what you need in order to make the higher tier crafts.
So Elliot has just chimed in here and he says, tell them about AutoSell.
I think we did talk
The
about the trade
the
bot
trade
a
bot.
little
Okay.
bit. Yeah.
Just didn't know if there
Uh,
was another thing. I didn't just want to completely steamroll over the top of that statement.
oh yeah, no.
Well,
Ice fishing and snow cones. I love it.
Oh yeah. We should put that on the list.
yeah, I think fishing already is on the list, and also some forms of ice cream.
There
But
you
yeah,
go. Fishing and some forms of ice cream. That's a lot. Okay,
I
guys.
think some forms of ice cream is actually on our list. We were talking about all that content. There may be some ice cream in the future of.
I'm a fan. Love ice cream. Okay, guys. Well, let's go ahead and we'll wrap it up. This is going to be something that's going to be happening on a much more regular basis. So, all of you who are out there in the community, make sure that you follow all of our socials and pay attention to Discord and things like that, because we will be doing this on a fairly regular basis. I won't always be doing this, but these gentlemen and some of the other members of the Townstar team will. So, do you guys have any closing thoughts?
For me, I just am really excited. It's been a lot of little quick messages in Discord and small scale communication, which I do really enjoy. I do like having the personal connection, and I'm in there. But getting a chance to broadcast and speak about some of the bigger initiatives that we're working on, some of the challenges that we're facing is really great. I look forward to doing this more in the future.
yep. And
Awesome.
Same for me. I'm like really excited how Gal Games is like engaging the community and actually trying to listen what the people who are playing the game the most, are saying about it, and then trying to make the best possible way of making things happen. So yeah, I'm real excited about the future of Townstar.
Well, awesome, guys. Thank you very much. This has been a developer update for Townstar. I'm Jason Bitbender Brink, and we've got Adam Jennings and Christian Magda. I'm sorry. I'll get
It's
it
okay.
right here. And yeah, have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Play some Townstar, and we'll see you next week.
Bye,
Peace.
guys.